What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bingetown TV and our coverage of Jujutsu Kaisen. So this is going to be episodes
19 and 20.
19, 19 and 20. Okay, there
Yeah.
you go. It's I got the name of them. It's Right and Wrong, Part 2 and 3. That's easier to remember.
Mhm.
So just a continuation of Yuji's descent into just absolute depression and despair. We're still battling Mahito, everyone's I don't know want to say favorite villain, maybe favorite villain to watch get the shit kicked out of, which thankfully we got a little bit of, I think, in episode 20. So obviously I think we just take the episodes one at a time. Episode 19, Right and Wrong Part 2, is very Kugisaki focused. I'm sure we have some things to say about that. As some
Where?
classic some classic anime style of how that episode went, which was funny, but also not funny because of the content type of deal. So
But they did it well.
just yeah, for sure. I think we kind of just open the floor to anything we want to talk about in episode 19 regarding Kugisaki, obviously.
I mean, what else to say other than she's a boss? I mean, my favorite line, me and Aoki were kind of shooting the shit around a little bit before the recording. So he knows that for me personally, there was the one line that Mahito says during their fight where he kind of just recognizes her as another rival, just like
Yeah,
he sees Itadori Yuji. Like he puts her immediately on that tier of like, this is someone that I need to deal with, right away as well. Of course, for the more messed up reasons, but he does see them as like two sides of the same coin. So that was really cool. And obviously, I I I, I know the power difference is like significant between Mahito and Kugisaki. We were kind of talking about it last podcast about like how if he splits into a clone, does he get weaker? It appears that he does in the sense that he can't use certain abilities, but in terms of I feel like physical strength, it feels like it was nearly 100% there, like combat abilities. So even though his power is broken and was much needed probably for him to quickly finish off Kugisaki, it was just cool seeing her hold her own, and her power is just again just to the uniqueness of everyone's abilities,
yeah,
just so cool seeing the hammer and nail. Like it, I just remember thinking back on season one when we first introduced to her power and just thinking like, what is this gonna be? It just looks so stupid, but obviously it's great, and it is a perfect counter to Mahito, especially the double, which I think that was what triggered Mahito's comment about, okay, this girl,
yeah.
just like Yuji, is like a rival to me because I guess their powers can both touch his soul. So, but she was amazing, man. I fucking love Kugisaki.
It's
Not
it was
much to say
tough.
there, Elke.
It's tough to relive that event, because
Yeah,
I was hyping her up and I knew it was coming, but I was hyping her up just about how she's not your tropey uh girl main character. Like she can hold her own. She's quick with it, she's funny. Um she's part of the group and unfortunately she will be missed. Her fight was entertaining. I thought they did it very well in the anime. They portrayed it very well. Um, when she used her curse technique and it affected both the clone and the original body, I thought that was super badass. It immediately clicked for her. Unfortunately, it clicked for Mahito too. He
yeah,
realized he had to kind of step it up a notch. Um, fuck him, bro.
Dude, so I watched these episodes back to back. I think if I had done it like week to week, I would have been much more devastated by
yeah,
Right and Wrong Part 2, but I literally just got done watching them back to back, but I agree. Like, just like fuck Mojito so much. Like if I had to sit on that episode, Right and Wrong Part 2, for a week without hearing the potential, like, oh, because we get in Right and Wrong Part 3 that it's like, oh, she's dead, but there's not like a 0% chance that she actually dies,
yeah. It's true.
So if I didn't have that knowledge for a week, I would just have to, wallow in despair that another one of Yuji's just best friends just going down. I was devastated, man. I absolutely hated seeing this, and that was something that weeks ago, I think when the opening first came out, and I stupidly kind of watched it, and people were making
Yeah.
comments about like how she was like
The
going like
chair.
this in the intro.
Yeah, and she
Yep.
was also in the center of the chairs too, right?
Oh,
In the
was she?
intro.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
now that makes sense too. But
Which wasn't clicking for me actually, but when you see the backstory, it obviously comes to play.
so obviously
Come
in the
together.
moment that meant absolutely nothing to me. If anything, I thought maybe she would have like only lost an eye. So that's kind of what I was expecting in this fight, was to her lose
Yeah.
her eye and not her life. So that was
Yeah.
definitely a huge surprise for me. But I mean, I love Kugasaki. I mean, I'm still a Maki truther to this
It's
day,
fair.
but she's definitely up there. All the women in the show have been just amazing. I love them all.
They do you so dirty with the kind of sequence of events of her kind of kicking ass, and then like Yuji gets the hint where it's picking him up emotionally and like spiritually almost,
Mhm.
where he's like, "Thank you for showing me like I'm not alone," and he starts kicking Mahito's ass, and all the heavy blows are hitting, and he's just absolutely beating the shit out of him, and you're like, "Yes, like this is literally what we've been waiting for so long," and then just they just flip it right on you. She gets smacked in the face, and then it just says 2009. It's like, no,
I yeah,
like,
Yeah, yeah.
I was so fucking pissed because she gets
yeah,
touched and then we hit that flashback. I'm like, can I just
it's
skip
so
this?
bad.
I just need to like,
Yeah.
I want to see what the fuck happens before I get into this. And
uh,
her backstory was, I mean, it was sad, of course. I mean, she was an outsider in the village. She makes a friend and then another friend who's a little bit older than both of them. And
mhm.
we hadn't really been introduced. We haven't been introduced. What's the girl that's her age's name?
Fumi?
Fumi. Have
Fumi.
we met her
Yeah,
in real time?
No, I think
not that I know of.
no.
Okay. I just wasn't sure because we were getting her perspective at first, Fumi's
Mhm.
perspective, and I was a little bit like, why are
Yeah,
we getting her
it
perspective and
is.
not no
It does kind of come off like Alki mentioned earlier, like main character ish. You know, her backstory, the beginning of it too, where she's like confronting the bullies and doing all this stuff, and then yeah, it kind of. I also kind of like the way it ends. It's not necessarily like uplifting, fulfilling content. I just think it's just interesting that the way that they kind of pull it full circle with Sayori, who's the older
Mhm.
chick, who she's kind of just like reminiscing back on her life and being like, I just lived such an ordinary office life now. Like, I wonder what that little girl's up to. And
Mhm.
obviously, she has no conception of what Kugasaki could possibly be up to
Yeah.
or even
Saving
come
the
close to the
world.
truth. Yeah, of what's actually going on. But I just like the way that they kind of brought that full circle. And then just again, everyone leaves Yuji with just like a horribly, almost like heartbreaking quote, even though this is like actually uplifting and probably some nice last words to leave, but like it's just like fuck, man. It's like,
Dude,
hey, please tell everyone. Like Nanami's like I'll leave it up to you, and then she's like, hey, tell everyone this. And it's just like, god damn, how
it's
many
so funny.
words?
I've definitely said the same thing. I feel like in drunk moments with you guys, I'm just like, if I die like right now, I just want everyone to know that I had a great life.
Yeah.
Just don't feel bad, you know. But
Yeah, and then
uh
she that left eye socket gets blown out. And dude, they fucking the sound design on her like hitting the ground was like, oh my god, okay,
yeah,
settle
just
down.
that
I'm
thud.
surprised that Mahito didn't fucking disfigure her the way he did Nanami.
Yeah,
Frankly, I mean, I guess to our benefit,
Mhm.
yeah. I
but
guess it was seems to be like that little slap versus like actually touching him,
Mhm.
I
holding on. I guess you could say.
oh, good point. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah,
I
but dude,
think
the fucking visual of it's fucking wild.
yeah, it's a shame the shot of Yuji through her the hole in her head.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's fucked
yeah,
up.
that was so
Art is cool, dude, with the nails. I think it's a pretty cool, like stupid quote unquote power to have, and the way she uses it is intelligent. You know,
yeah, yeah. I mean, because
she
obviously,
used
like
the old nails on the ground, like
that was
all of
hard.
that.
Because
It's
you could
just
obviously
fun,
see when she's just doing the basic power of just like smacking the nails. Like, sure, your average curse might not be able to avoid it, but for someone like Mahito, dodging those things is easy.
easy, right?
So it was
Um,
cool seeing her, yeah,
Yeah,
potential on display there.
and I think they did give us that nice little flashback. I thought
of the
was
three of
cute and
them,
also funny. It like yeah, it felt like classic anime humor. Was this was in this episode or was it? Now I'm thinking about it. Maybe it was in 20. Either way, but with the shirt and spilling it, and I like how she tries to get them to blame Mister. I think his name is what Ichiji or something like that,
Yeah,
and they're like
yeah.
immediately like, no, it's
no,
obviously
it's your
you.
fault.
Yeah, and then the
Yeah.
scale hits like behind her. I thought that was
And
really
she's like,
funny.
okay, I'll pay 90. You guys each pay 80. And they're like, whoa, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that was
It's
funny.
good. It's a good. I think that it's pretty noteworthy that the author mentioned, the creator mentioned that it's not a 0% chance because so far everybody that we've seen that's dead has been dead. You know,
we know how anime percents work. Whenever it's low stakes or low percent chance of it going through, it's going to work out. And if it's a high percent chance of it working, it's not going to work out. So
We'll
that's just
see. I
the
mean,
anime math.
we'll see because
We will see. I mean,
it does feel like this show, out of almost anything,
I did
is
get picked
definitely
back
willing to
up.
kill her.
I was
right
definitely happier hearing that there's not a 0% chance that she's going to
because
die.
the guy also said there's not a 0% chance. Don't get your hopes up, which is
Yeah.
like,
Seem
but
winking
it
at
feels
us,
also
basically saying
But it
that.
feels like that's also kind of just maybe his like catchphrase kind of thing where it's just like, yeah, don't get your
Probably.
hopes up, like
Yeah.
I can
Well, I guess,
calculate all this stuff, but don't get your hopes
yeah.
up.
It's also, I think, his power. The base of his power is like stabilizing injuries versus actually healing people.
Mhm.
So he probably feels like he literally has to say that all the time, especially to someone like Toto, who obviously doesn't care about nuance. It's just like, let's kick ass and
The one
do
thing,
shit like that.
the last comment I have on part 2 is just I love when Mahito breaks off into like the 5 little like
Yes.
cyclop things, and again, just seeing Mahito's abilities of like combat knowledge in the fact that he was able to fake out Yuji with putting a bunch of cursed energy into one of them, thinking that Yuji's going to bite on that one, and he did, and it wasn't that one that had his soul in it. So just Mihito just being a boss, and I mean, I still fucking hate the guy, but he's
His
good, man.
imagination is unbelievable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the way he uses his power is really, really, really cool.
And I feel like we're just scratching the surface with how Right and Wrong Part 3 ended.
Yeah, that's fair. So that's a perfect segue into Right and Wrong Part 3. And this might be my favorite episode of the season.
Yeah, we had said the same thing,
saying
bro.
the same thing. It's up there, man. It's so hard for me not to just come off like a biased opinion of just fresh off watching the episode and being like, that was the best one of the
I've been
season.
saying, where the fuck is Toto? And I knew he was coming.
He
That's
is
all for you
just-
guys, viewers.
He is my
Oh.
favorite character. I think.
Dude, he's so cool, bro.
I
He's
fucking
so
love it.
badass. His walk up, I got chills. The fight was sensational. His speech to Yuji, like, whipped him back into shape, whipped me back into shape. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was not like, it's gritty. It was right along with the tone of the anime. It's like, don't wallow in this because then you're doing everybody that's died a disservice.
Mhm.
Let's live for them. And also, he said some shit under his breath, like
I don't
like
need
we
to tell
can't.
him that yet.
Yeah, we can't let him like
What was you
kind of let the reality. I don't really know.
Yeah,
I caught that. I didn't know what he meant by that.
It's
put that
just
in there a little
he's
bit.
just so fucking cool. His power, it's so sweet how he can switch spots with literally anything, and he uses it to a T, man. He's
Yeah.
he's such a master at it. He is able to just it's not a really intricate power, but he is so glitch with it. It's so
Yeah.
fun to watch.
It's when he, like, Mahito's kind of running and he uses it like twice in quick succession to then kick Mahito. It's just like he's already like doing the kick like as he goes to clap to put himself in a position to finish the kick. It's like he's just such a fucking boss.
But there's nothing cooler in anything than just an anime walk-up scene. It's just like those are the
dude,
best.
They did. I saw something on the internet that was like, it literally was like a WWE entrance.
Yeah.
Like it was him entering the scene was just like so perfect. And I mean, before this too, dude, it was looking terrible because it gets worse at the beginning of this episode. Because Mahito is just giving Yuji the business, so they're just throwing him around. He hits him with a black flash, which is just like probably the lowest Yuji might have been after Kugisaki dies. He's like literally like the way they're drawing it, like the panic on his face, I thought was really good. The animation was great, and then he gets hit with a black flash and was like, "Oh my god, where the hell do we go from
Mahito
here?"
was
But
pissing me the fuck off because he's just like, I'm so perfect. Like I am literally the
Yeah.
embodiment of a curse, and I'm just like, you are the worst. I hate you.
yeah,
Before
Yuji's like telling him like, I can't. Like I literally he's telling Toto I can't do it anymore. Like what I thought to be my conviction only turned out to be my excuses. I can't forgive myself. And it's like, oh my god, man, like this is literally the lowest he's probably ever been.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Before we dive into this fight, I want to mention me and Dave were talking about it previously before the podcast. Yuji's black flashes. I just thought it was really cool, and he was doing it in succession. And I think we should I know it's a first season thing, but I think it's important to understand the mechanics of the black flash. Basically it's like a timing thing. And I like to equate it to in the newer Super Smash Brothers Brawl games, you know, when you like knock somebody and it's just like the right moment they get fucking blown off the screen. I think of it that way.
Yeah.
I think Yuji doing it in succession like that is so cool and awesome. Unfortunately, it was not enough because I'm pretty sure Nobara died right after that, like exchange.
Yeah.
Um, but we get to see it again in this fight with Toto and Yuji and Mahito. This whole fight was sweet, man. Just all of it. Like Mahito's at the brink, just going firing at all cylinders, and Toto and Yuji are answering, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of giving them the business at some points.
Yeah. I mean, Mahito already like had the scouting report on Toto, and even with the scouting report of his powers, was still just like, I still get completely disoriented, even knowing that the claps are coming and the way he's giving him credit for the way he uses it.
And it
It's not
excites him.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
worst part about
Yeah,
Mahito
fuck
is that,
him.
is that he's smiling through this all. Like he could be like he's already in a precarious situation. Like he breaks it down like Toto's at 100% soul and Yuji's at 10% or less and he's at 40. Those odds to me seem well in favor of Toto's side, even if Yuji's at 10%. But he's just still fucking laughing because he probably has a fucking plan. And I
Yeah.
fucking hate the guy. It's so he has such a punchable face, and I'm sure that's how they designed it to be. But anytime he smiles, I get so angry.
All of it fucking happens a lot. It happens multiple times, like every episode almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Toto even was taking him on 1v1. Obviously, we find out a little later that Toto's attacks themselves don't really do a ton to Mahito, but at the very least, he's buying time. And I mean, the combo work with him and Yuji is just top notch. They're just so good as a duo. It's insane.
I like that the reminder that he doesn't really have an effect on Mahito because there are moments in the fight where Toto has a clear shot at hitting Mahito, but instead he'll sub in Yuji, which there were some moments when I was watching, I was like, why do they keep switching when it's a clear line of sight? But 100% makes sense. That
Why
Yuji's
doesn't his shit? Is it just his curse energy's not strong enough? What is it?
It's because he can't hit the soul.
like Fugasaki's and Yuji's powers specifically
Yeah,
attack the
like
soul?
she can. The resonance attacks the soul. Yuji
Right.
can attack the soul.
Like his
Toto
fist,
can't.
yeah, just kind of
He can't
reach
do it.
through.
And that's Mahito's whole thing, the soul.
Yeah,
And that's why she was a good counter for Mahito.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But not
That's
all
why he wasn't
powers are
worried
gonna-
about her. Yeah, until he didn't realize that she could use that resonance ability. And she even says, since the first time I heard about your power, like I figured this might work.
Yeah, and to me, like I imagine blood manipulation wouldn't have any effect really on Mahito because that wouldn't, necessarily touch the soul either.
Yeah, and he can literally manipulate his body so much.
Yeah.
It's just like it would be hard to hit him with things if you weren't like directly impacting his soul. Essentially, I just man.
So that Black Flash didn't do anything.
No, it
That's
doesn't.
crazy. That sucks. I mean,
Does the Black
yeah.
Flash not
now
attack the soul?
it's all coming together now. But damn, bro,
Yeah, it doesn't do anything to him.
the Black Flash with Yuji would because it's like
It,
his
yeah.
ability.
Yeah.
It like physically moves him backwards, but that's kind of the extent of it. It doesn't actually do any damage to him.
Mhm.
It's kind
I
of
love that,
just
like
a-
him loading up into the Black Flash. It's like him in space with the rainbows.
Yeah.
That shit was hilarious.
It was just like so fitting of his character.
He was
It's
like,
just
dude, everyone's out here giving their all right now. Like I can't get left behind. I
And does
just
he
love that.
hear the
Especially 'cause
voice?
You think like
of his crush. Is that who he hear? Like he's like,
yeah, at the end,
That's
the girl,
Tanaka or
the
whatever.
girl that he had the ticket
Yeah.
for.
Yeah,
Yo, he's
He
funny,
cooks
dude.
it.
Is- yeah. you
Black
hear a
Flash,
chick's
yeah.
voice as he's like flying
Yeah.
through space, and I'm pretty
It's
sure
like
it's just like his motivation, basically.
It's like there's like little pictures of her like right before he makes contact. It's like her on a beach and things like that.
yeah.
And I think it says like Toro-san.
He's so stupid, but I
It's him.
gotta love the fucking guy. He's just
I
incredible.
think his design is so cool.
He's
Mhm.
such a badass. Dude.
I
yeah.
love how
when,
he has like the jogger pants on and the
yeah.
karate
I want
shoes.
those kind of pants. I've been getting like recommended those on like
They're
my
like
Instagram.
parachute pants, kind of.
I love like just the impact he has on Yuji. It's just so obvious and tangible. I mean, it literally is. It takes maybe 3 minutes for Yuji to be like on the floor, like about to tap out into like he literally is like apologizing to Nanami, and he's like, I was about to take the easy way out. I was about to use my sins as an excuse to escape from now on, I will suffer in your place as well, Nanami, which is like, okay, wild that he has to do that. But that's obviously, like Toto said, the life of a jujutsu sorcerer.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just stands up together and Toto just rips his shirt off. And it's like,
You
all
know.
right, baby, like phase 2 of the fight. Like, let's get it. It's just like so funny.
Like he's just barely gotten started. Now
Yeah.
it's all about to go down.
Like
It's so good.
I just love that he just appears to be just like this idiot, but like, he just knows exactly how to get Yuji going, and
Yeah.
He's his
I mean,
brother, dude. The other guy was
that
like
was so
his
funny.
brother. I don't really see any resemblance.
Yeah.
It's just like because to my knowledge, he was an only child.
He just goes around casually telling everyone he has a brother, and it's not his brother, but they're just best friends. Oh, he's the man, bro.
Well, they're best friends in Toto's mind.
Yeah, they're
I
brothers in
Well, they're
Toto's.
both.
I know like Yuji's naive and stuff. I like that he's not a fucking idiot. Like sometimes I hate it, unless it's like Luffy,
Mhm.
when the main character is like an absolute moron. It's kind of just overdone. I like how Yuji is not that, but Toto being that makes it awesome.
Yeah,
It's just
But he
so
also
funny.
has like surprising depth to him at times.
Oh
Like,
yeah, he's a softie, dude.
the scene when he comes in and the quote of the bells of the I'm going to mispronounce it, but the Gaian monastery in India echo with the warning that all things are impermanent. The blossoms of the salad trees teach us through their hues that what flourishes must fade. And it's like, where is this coming from?
Yeah, true. But that's the beauty of him.
yeah,
he's
he's great.
he's got layers, dude. He's like an ogre.
and
yes,
then
he is.
for me, honestly, watching these back to back, the most emotional I got, what actually brought me tears, like what the tears started pouring out was when Mojito is just like talking about himself. He's like, "Oh my god, I'm feeling like the true essence of my soul. Like I'm bringing out everything of my potential." He's about to like punch Toto right in the face, and Yuji comes and catches it, and he's just head down. He's like, "I'm sorry, Nanami," and we get that like brief moment of Nanami, and I'm definitely crying at that point. Fukasagi's death was definitely sad, but for some reason this hit me just so much harder. And like I'm just sitting here crying. I'm just like, let's fucking go. And I was really hoping that this shot was gonna end it, but of course
No.
it was just the beginning of the whole fight, basically. Like this is just Yuji fully accepting that he has to move on. But it was just great seeing Nanami's face, man. I was definitely so emotional seeing it. The Black Flash animation, I'm glad. Me and Alki were actually kind of debating this at the beginning. As much as I love this episode, and I'm still willing to put it as one of my favorites, for some reason, for me, the animation felt its worst during this fight. I don't know. It didn't feel that clean to me. Like everything was still like blobs, but anytime the Black Flash was involved, the animation felt really clear, and it was like, just like seeing Conqueror's Hockey from One Piece. Like it's just such a really cool animation that they do with the black lightning coming out of it, I think. But
I actually don't think the
I
animation
don't
was
know why.
bad.
It wasn't
I
really
thought it
doing
was
it for
worse
me.
versus when
Sukuna?
Sukuna and fought
Joe. Or
fought
Jogo.
the
Maharaga.
Maharaga. Like I thought that was awful.
I thought,
But I thought this was all right.
yeah. Either
thought it
way, it's
looked
still not
okay.
taken away. This one for me just felt. I don't know why. Maybe it was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it almost helps with the perspective that Mahito's body is pretty much just like a ball of jello that he
Yeah,
can
like-
do whatever he wants with. So like that's how I think I'm trying to headcanon it. When I see something, I'm like, that looks a
I
little odd, but-
agree, and I would say in the past I've been fine with this animation because it kind of, especially in the fight with like Sukuna versus Mahago or whatever, and even against Jogo, it feels
Yeah.
like the animation's fine there because they're moving just so fast that like you just really can't make out anything. Whereas here, like I don't picture, Yuji, Mahito, and Toto moving at these like supersonic speeds that like Toji was moving at in the other episodes, and which
Sure.
I guess why in this moment I felt like a little bit
You feel like
less.
it could be better.
Yeah, and I guess again, it
Mm.
wasn't bad. It didn't take away from anything. I still will rank this as a top 3 episode of Jujutsu Kaisen of all time, but
It's good.
yeah, for me it felt a little bit off, but still the Black Flashes are just amazing.
I mean, I hear you. I actually that logic is sound. Like that reasoning
I think
makes
that's
sense.
why it was weird for me in this episode specifically.
But for me, like against Maharaga, like there were literally frames that were black and white, and it was like
Yeah.
sketches. Like it was his biceps as squares because they didn't like
Yeah.
color it, like finish drawing it. That's what pissed me off in that fight.
Yeah.
This one,
That's-
there were some blob moments. Like there was a moment where I think when they came out of the floor,
Mhm.
there was like they were all blobs, and I was just like,
Yeah.
it's not their fault, bro. I
I
don't
mean,
know. They're like,
it's
Yeah,
technically
I
their
wonder.
fault, but it's also not their
I'm really
fault.
curious what like the end of
the
season conversation might be like. If it's like still an issue, if we get more information about it. Yeah, I
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
even say it's been an issue for me. Like, obviously, I know the potential is there for it to be better, but it hasn't necessarily, I would say, been an issue for me entirely just yet.
Yeah.
Because it has been
So
consistent, at least. That's the main thing. It's not like what I'm thinking of is that one. There's like a Black Clover episode where the animation was all fine, and then we get this major fight, and the episode's kind of done like this, and it's like, okay, that sucks because it was only one episode. It
yeah,
was like a major fight, whereas this, at least, it's consistent, and we kind of understood why it was happening.
yeah, it is nice to know. Although obviously the reason itself is terrible, I guess it
Yeah,
is nice. I feel like it tempers our expectations in a way where we're not like reacting negatively to
right,
the wrong thing, I guess you could say. But
right.
another interesting, I guess, story direction decision, etc. is I thought it was really interesting how there was like actual episode content. Like the fight is still ongoing as the
and
credits to the episode were
Yes.
happening.
I,
When usually that's like the song and the outro like
Mhm.
sequence playing. I just thought that was interesting. It seems like they're really trying to stretch the screen time and get in as much content as they have to, which I think is appreciated in my mind. I don't think it
I
took
was
away
like,
from
holy
the
shit, the
plot.
fucking season's over. That's what that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
That happened earlier this season too. I think it happened during the flashback, like maybe like one of the last episodes or the last episode of the flashback. It ended like that.
yeah. I
That's
honestly, I thought it was weird too because I'm like, we're watching it, and it ends with Mahito's devilish look on his face, but then it kind of just rolls into what the expectations are for next episode, and I was like, are we still? I couldn't tell because the outro hadn't played fully. I was like, are we still in the same episode? And then I was like, okay, now this is a little bit too like now I see this is the episode preview.
Yeah.
Not gonna watch it, but
Yeah.
it was
I
hard to
like that
see.
they put that panel in. You could kind of tell it was a panel when it's like the three of them and the narrator kind of says like they've all reached like 120%
Hmm.
of their potential. I like when they put the panels in. I thought it was nice. It's colored. It just like is a nice little like nod, I thought, at least
I
to manga
always
readers.
I always have to point out when there's a narrator that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. It was
Eh,
random.
Was this the first time? I feel like we maybe had talked about a narrator earlier in this season, but it's been for like specific moments. But
Yeah, it's possible, but I don't think it happens very
I
often.
I don't
It's not
mind.
like Hunter, I feel like is much more consistent.
Well, that one I feel like it started during the
I
Chimera
guess
Ant
it's
arc. Like
yeah,
it
it's
wasn't
consistent
there.
within
I
that
don't.
arc.
I actually prefer a narrator to be honest, because I just feel like it's almost more like reading, where you can also not only like see the emotions that people are feeling, but like you can also kind of get that like confirmation from the narrator of what's also going on. So
like a
Yeah,
I'm not
little
opposed.
elaboration.
Yeah, like I'm not
Some
opposed to
reliability
it.
too.
I'm not opposed to it. It was just something that I noted.
Right, like concrete facts. Like if the narrator says
Right.
it, it's true.
Like I just
Yeah.
picture it like the square boxes in mangas
Right,
like that are just
exactly.
like on the
Yeah, yeah.
side.
That's what I was picturing too.
Um, but other than that, I mean, the Mechamaru scene I will say
Yeah, I
was
was just
also
gonna
very
say the final thing
emotional.
to comment on. I'm just curious how much either of you two care. It's just
Not too
something I've been
much.
seeing online where it's like the general consensus feels like Miwa and Mekamaru at this point, we've moved so far past those characters that it's like it feels shoehorned in. They're trying. It just feels like I think this is actually a common, I guess, criticism I've read of Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't have this criticism because I'm a terrible critic of things that I read and enjoy because I'm just taking everything at face value pretty much and whatever. Everything's a decision and it makes sense to me, but that like a lot of side characters are just like really underutilized and don't contribute a ton to the plot. It just felt like it popped up. I thought it was animated like beautifully. Thought the colors looked good, the
I
story
thought it was like a
behind it.
lo-fi scene. Like I felt like I was watching
Yeah,
like
like
one of my
it
lo-fi
was
videos
good.
from
Actually, I
repeat.
really liked it because
Yeah.
I get it. The story of Mekamaru is gone, but he helped Yuji up until like 3 or 4 episodes ago, and not to mention, this kind of tied that group of people into the mix. So
Yeah.
that's
And
why
Toto
like he
arrives too.
yeah
Toto's
he
part of
acts
that
like the
squad.
liaison.
So
I'm not really upset with it. I actually read that those criticisms as well about how the side characters are underutilized. But the pacing of the story is pretty fast.
Yeah, it is.
Like in the manga too. Like you'll see, bro. Next arc is fucking awesome as well, and it doesn't skip a beat in that sense. It's like where does like a B ranked fighter
Yeah,
fall
you're
into
bait at
play,
this
and
point.
when you're fighting
Yeah.
like
The
world
universe is at stake,
threatening
essentially.
monsters and shit. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
so so I get it, but it's like, do you want an 1,000 chapter manga that you're gonna complain about because it's 1,000 chapters, or do you want the meat and potatoes? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, I agree.
I would definitely counter the community's arguments against that the side characters have not been utilized enough. Like, I guess in any fucking story, like the side characters could always be utilized more. So that's never been a problem for me. In terms of this specific like love story between Mekamaru and Miwa, I don't really care about because one, their love was never, or like their relationship was never really displayed on screen
it's not even
in the
real.
present. Yeah, like it was only things that we have seen because Mekamaru is now gone.
We get to it at the end, which like creates not a false tragedy, but it's not like we've gone on the journey with them. Like we kind of
that's
have
what I'm
the
saying.
realization,
Exactly. It's
yeah,
not
at
like
the
from
end.
day one from Jujutsu Kaisen, this was like a story that they had been keeping us up with. It was just kind of like laid out to us like, oh, Mekamaru does have a crush. Like this pulls in a little bit towards his humanity side of things, makes the sacrifice that he put.
Mhm.
Like, so that I can agree on. Like this specific thing, like I don't care too much about. Like it was very nice. And again, the animation was like beautiful. It felt like I was just like listening to some lo-fi beats and just like
Yeah.
the lights in the background were really cool. But in terms of emotion, like it didn't do anything. But like Aoki said though, the fact that it now ties into all these other quote unquote side characters making their debut into Shibuya Station, I think that is a really good connector for this arc and
Yeah.
something that it definitely needs because it does feel like we're losing a lot of people. We're
They're
losing a
dropping
lot
like
of people.
flies
Yeah.
out there for
Yeah.
sure.
So we need the backup. And even though obviously they're kind of led to believe, this is Squad B, like Mekamaru specifically told these people not to come or set them on missions because they were quote unquote weak, but this is going to be the squad based on how animes in the past have gone. I mean, I think a few of them are going to die still, but
yeah.
I think Squad B is going to come up clutch and prove their worth here.
4 episodes left.
Yeah.
I kind of liked the little flash of Mekamaru as a human that Miwa saw. Like, was that in
Yeah, in the
Miwa's
mirror.
mind, or do you think
That
that
was
was
good.
his cursed energy? I think that was his cursed energy.
That's actually not a. I would have. I didn't even. I would have just immediately said. I just think that was her mind, but because
Yeah.
there's cursed energy and like the thing probably just disintegrated or like used the last of its cursed energy to probably
Like,
put himself.
I
there.
know that walkie-talkie thing is like it can't revive Mekamaru, but his essence is in it, and like the latest software update from when he like uploaded his consciousness into this fucking thing is there. So like all his memories and feelings and stuff are there. So I would like to believe that he projected himself there for her to see. That'd be pretty
It's an
cool.
interesting thought.
Yeah.
It's nice to think of it that way because I don't think it matters either way. Not in like a
Oh,
don't worry
okay,
about
bro.
it, but like I'm just saying, I think you're more than free to feel that way.
No, I know. I liked Mekamaru. Like reading it too. I liked him. I thought he was fucking cool. I was disappointed in him. I like his girl he has a crush on is pretty sweet with the sword. Like she's pretty gnarly with that shit.
I'm excited to see her, but I was actually kind of surprised to see that Mekamaru considered the the guy with his eyes. I'm pretty sure he's a blood manipulator too, but I'm
Yeah,
surprised that he considered him weak because I feel like we've
yeah.
seen him before kind of go toe to toe with was it with Toto or
It's
Megami? That's who it
yeah,
was.
it's
You're right,
Megami.
right.
That's
Noritoshi Kamo, I believe.
he's pretty. I'm excited to see
Oh,
him
no,
in action because
he was
especially after you see Choso.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm kind of surprised that he wasn't on the group that Mekamaru was like, yeah, you can certainly, hit up Shibuya. So I think he'll be definitely one of the bigger players of this group. Like, and Maki's is a cousin or sister. Like, I still say fuck her, but like, I'm
It's
sure.
Maki's sister, I believe.
Yeah, it's her sister.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of her. I think definitely she's weak, but
yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean,
they'll all get their moments. Yeah, I think
we're-
again, B team is going to shine here in these next couple of episodes.
Yeah, like we said.
Oh, I just remembered something that fucking happens, bro. Oh, it's gonna be.
I'm also.
Oh, you're about to get. Oh, it's about to get lit again. I don't know how. This season is
It's been
is
a big
like a
debate over,
banger, bro.
yeah,
Banger after banger after banger. It's like a top season of anime, just nonstop hits.
it's
Unbelievable.
been a
No
big debate on
skips.
where it's going to end. Like, where is the actual line they're going to draw for, like, this is the
Mm.
end of this arc for season 2. 4 episodes left of content. We'll see. We're moving into phase 3 of this, let's say, Toto Yuji versus Mahito fight. It's just, I mean, it's gonna be fireworks. There's no
I'm
other way
s-
around it. I mean, it's not even a spoiler to say that the ending is gonna be nuts. Obviously, we're getting these characters just continuing to face off, so we'll have to see how it ends.
it's funny because I was talking about like the anime percent math and how like giving us the percent usually it's going to be the opposite of the outcome. Now I'm kind of stuck on the thing like Mekamaru is saying Toto had a 99% chance to survive, and it's like shit. If what I was saying was earlier comes true, then that 1% is probably going to come true. So
Yeah, yeah.
Don't
Like,
think like that, bro.
is
I'm just gonna
Mekamaru
I'll put it on
aware
the
that
board. I'm gonna put on the board that
Mahito
Toto's gonna die. That's
is
on the
this
board.
close to, what does he say, realizing the true essence of his soul? Was that
Yeah,
part of
yeah.
the
I actually,
calculation?
we didn't talk about this. I thought it was really interesting to find out that he has 40% left.
Yeah.
Because he seems like
He could go
I
like
thought
for
he was
hours
like not
longer.
even touched.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm reassured. But it's also
yeah.
crazy to hear Yuji's at 10.
It feels generous, honestly.
It's just like one
Yeah.
of those things. It just reminds me of like the scene from The Dark Knight when Batman's just like kicking the shit out of the Joker in the jail room, but like the Joker's just like laughing the whole time. Like obviously the Joker's feeling that damage, but like
Yeah,
just
He's
the
well, he's got a
joy of
bigger
just
plan in place.
yeah,
Yeah,
the bigger plan and just watching his enemies just struggle is just so much fun to him. So
yeah. All right.
god damn.
So that's going to do it for Jujutsu Kaisen episodes 19 and 20. We will be back in 2 weeks, continuing this 2 episode at a time, I guess, structure that we've been moving with. So we'll be back with episodes 21 and 22. Until then, we are covering Beacon 23, Murder at the End of the World. We're going to start covering Yu Yu Hakusho on
Oh,
Netflix, I believe, the live
Oh
action Yu
yeah,
Yu
this is
Hakusho.
I think we're gonna do
So
this squad.
okay,
yeah,
If you're
so
cool.
that
in.
is a nice continuation of, if you're interested in the anime content, we'll move into the live action arena, obviously, but Yu Yu Hakusho classic anime there. And Percy Jackson is coming out on Disney Plus this month of December. And then looking more towards the future, True Detective comes out in January as we transition into 2024. So as I always say, we're busy guys. We got a lot coming down the pike, the pipe, either way you want to say it. So, if you like what you heard, the best way to support us is going to be obviously continuing to listen, but also subscribing on whatever you're listening on or watching on. If you're one of our YouTube faithful, we appreciate you no matter what way you engage with the content. It's just nice to know that there's people out there that are listening and they care. So, once again, we are Bingetown TV, and thank you for listening.
Peace.